Welcome tonight, guys. In this live stream, we're going to be digging into Omnosphere 3 and going deeper than just the presets. We're going to be talking about how to make your own sounds and some of the features that have been completely under the radar so far. So you can see this patch uses Quadzone, and this is a really cool new feature in Omnosphere 3. However, I want to first start by talking about something that they have not mentioned at all. They quietly snuck it in here, and that's called scatter. You can see it behind my synthesizer right here, scatter. So I'm going to initialize a patch real quick here. There we go, a little click there. So just a Jupiter saw, and we're actually going to jump in here, and we're going to change the wave from a synth oscillator to a sample oscillator, and we're going to pick something kind of cool. Let's see. Let's go with, what do we have in this Eurorack section here? Let's go with, oh, we have noise. I want to go with something that's going to be, let's try failing bulb. Oh, that's just a terrible thing. Let's go with something that's, that'll work pretty well. So this Farfisa clarinet, vintage string machine sample. If we go into Unison mode, I'm going to turn scatter all the way off, analog, and drift. So this is how it would work in Omnosphere 2, 1, or anything else like that. Any other synthesizer, when you turn Unison on, something weird's going to happen. I'll turn spread down as well, just in case you're not listening in stereo, because sometimes when you spread the detuned oscillators out, it kind of masks this effect. So doesn't sound that weird. As I increase depth, I'm sorry, as I increase detune, see how it can almost sound like a pluck? Let's pick another waveform, maybe something else that's breathy Oz. Here we go. See how it creates a flanging effect and it's the same every time? So what's happening here is because it's a perfect copy, when you slightly detune it, it's actually doing the same thing as like when you create a chorus or a flanger where you add a slight delay and it cancels out. And so this is different than when you're on an analog synthesizer, let's say, because all of the phase of those different oscillators is kind of constantly moving around. So the sound is different. So let's try a few more examples here. That's too complex. Looking for something that... This one's good. You can really hear that, the way it... Versus here's the sound without. Here's the sound with. Damien, thank you so much. So it's always got that predictable thing. So this is a problem with all sample-based synthesizers. So now we have scatter. Check this out. So listening to this again. Listen to how that just went away, that flange. We don't even need to scatter it all the way, just like, not even, now, if I increase the spread and the depth, we now have detune, unison detune on samples. So what it's doing is it's adjusting the phase just like on an analog synthesizer, but on every sample in Omnosphere. So this is a feature that they were so busy talking about everything else that's new in Omnosphere 3 that they went right past this. But for me, this is probably the best feature in Omnosphere 3, is the fact that we can load anything we want in. So now, let's say we go into Synth Classic and we go check out something from like a Juno 60 here, right? Now, we could create... Let's go for the string. So this is without Unison. This is probably a bad example because it's stereo. So let me go look and, sorry, that's the patch browser. Back to the waves. Let's go for something that's warm strings dry. So That's how it sounds without, you know. That's how it sounds without the chorus on, right? Because the chorus is going to make it stereo. One more time, I'm going to turn scatter down, and I'm going to turn the spread down and turn unison back on. This is a really good example of that phasey, flangey sound you get from any sort of unison. And again, this isn't just Omnosphere 3. This is any sample-based synthesizer plugin is going to have this problem. And, you know, you can actually use this to your advantage. Like, if you think it sounds cool, it can sound cool. It just doesn't sound cool when it's on everything. So let's increase the spread and the scatter. And now... it's completely gone away. It's incredible. So it's as wide as though we were listening with a stereo chorus on, but there's no chorus, it's just unison. And so we have control over it. We can make it more analog. We can do all sorts of things. We can add VCO drift in. So we really do have such incredible control over this. And I just want to show you real quick, actually, as a comparison. So if we swap back to a synth oscillator here, and we go back, we'll turn unison, what is it, off here. Oh, this is interesting. This is actually a little different than I was expecting. So we used to have an option in unison. I wonder if it's just scatter all the way down. So in previous versions, we actually had like phase locking and the amount of phase lock you can have in your oscillators. Let's turn drift and analog all the way off. So if you like those types of phase lock sounds, you can actually do it even with the virtual analog by turning scatter down. Before, we had a different actual icon here. I didn't realize that was different till just now. Which can be really cool. And this is actually a feature that goes all the way back to 1985. I think the first synthesizer that lets you phase lock your oscillators to get this type of sound was the Ensoniq ESQ1. Now, if someone has something else that they know about, I'd be curious to hear, but I believe that was the first synthesizer that could do this really interesting sort of sound, because obviously the ESQ1 was a hybrid synthesizer, analog filters, but with digital oscillator. So with a digital oscillator, they could actually lock in that phase, which is super cool. So I noticed this immediately just browsing through the patches, because now what we can do is actually use unison on patches without it just always having that annoying sound. And so what I thought would be a good example of this and how powerful Quadzone is, we're going to kind of combine our knowledge that we've just learned about scatter. We're going to combine that now with what's going on in Quadzone. So I've done a bunch of videos already, but if we go over to Quadzone here, we can turn it on. There's actually even presets that you can make. But right now you can see that we have sort of all of these, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different stages here. So what I'm going to do is drag these down to about something like, will this work? No, I think let's do 2s. Yeah, that makes sense. So we're going to just do 2 each. There's a reason for this. So I'm about to show you another feature that no one knows about in Omnosphere yet. And that's because there's so many cool new things in Omnosphere that people just haven't had time to dig into it. But I'm a nerd and this is what I do. And so one of the things we can do is we can pop up Sound Source Browser. So no one's talked about this yet, but we can go directly to the Sound Source Browser from Quadzone so that we can assign things from here. So we don't have to jump out of Quadzone, go through whatever. We can do everything from here. So what we're going to do is we're going to build an Oberheim 4-voice synthesizer with Quadzone, and I'm going to show you how to do it. This is so cool. So first off, we're going to pop up the Sound Source Browser, And we could go about this a few different ways. If we go to synth waveforms, we can go to the source and go to Oberheim SEM8 voice. So they actually sampled a bunch of waveforms from the SEM. It seems like they sampled it from an 8 voice. And we need to go into, this is the one area where I need to get Unison acting right. So it's increase scatter, analog, and drift. So you can see these settings here. I'm just gonna put them all at about 50 and spread all the way open, depth all the way down. Here's without. And here's with. Just because it is a digital synthesizer, it's kind of nice to have that those extra voices. You know, you can go bigger with digital synthesizer than you can with an analog synth. And I just want to say it again. We're listening to a sample here. So if I turn scatter, analog, and drift down, you can hear that horrible flange sound. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong because I'm not really hearing it. There it is. So the spread was kind of hiding it. But with scatter now, we can turn analog. We can drift it hard. So it sounds amazing. If we go into Quadzone here, you can see we have it set to fader right now, which is useful. So we can just drag this and move this around. By the way, can I get a scum cheers in the chat? I appreciate you guys for going on this journey with me. I'm so excited about Omnosphere. I know we have a lot of vintage synth snobs in the chat because that's what we are normally talking about on this channel. But for me, Omnosphere is the perfect companion to vintage synthesizers or hardware synths of any kind, because it kind of bridges the gap of everything you might need that's not there. So can I get some scum cheers in the chat? Cheers, guys. Thank you, Brett. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So now we're hearing the Moog modular saw. And I think it's not even on. So there we go. We've turned it on. We can turn it on without leaving the page. So we're going to pop up the sound source browser again. And we can do the same thing. So synths classic. And then we're going to go to, we can just search by all sorts of things. Now, I'm going to do this with the SEM, which seems to have disappeared on me here. Where did it go? I mean, we got the CS80, even the Seal DK80, lots of Roland vintage synths, the Prophet VS. So I guess another way we could do this is just search SEM, right? And see where they pop up, and maybe just all, and see what I have to do to find them. Let's see here. We're around. I've now lost. What was it, under Oberheim maybe? Oh yeah, OB-SEM. Here we go. That's what I need to look for. Yeah, this one's going to be a lot of fun. Wait, what just happened with Brett? Cheers. I bought it. Got my first hour in. Oh, awesome, man. Can all of this work with my legendary sample library? Yes, and I'm going to show you how to do that too tonight. Okay, so we started with that. Let's just do a raw square. And raw saw, sorry. Was there a square? There we go. I want a square. So jumping out of Quadzone and into Unison real quick. What I want to do too is, just like on a 4 voice, we can change, you know, the range. So we can go change the range on that. Back in the Quadzone, move the fader over. Let's pop up the sound source browser, and we'll search again for OB-SEM. That should do it. We'll go for a very narrow pulse. And now let's introduce some modulation to this sound, right? We don't need just raw waveforms, because just like on that synthesizer, if you're not familiar with the 4 voice, it's got 4 SEMs. So it's basically 4 independent mono synths you can play polyphonically, if that makes sense. So we'll start with LFO1 and we'll route it to the oscillator pitch coarse, and we'll set LFO1 to a square, and we'll try to see if we can get it just right. And let's see here, what do I need to do to get that? The source usually should change that, right? I would think. What am I doing wrong here? Modulation, amount, there we go. So we can probably a quarter will do it. Let's see. So we've got an octave now, and if we increase the rate here. Now that can be a little annoying. So what I'm going to do to break that up is we can always zoom in on the mod matrix here. Let's go to LFO2 and then set that to LFO1 rate. For some reason, this doesn't seem to be working here. Might be a little bug. I don't know. I'm probably doing something wrong, but Spectrasonics, if you're watching this video, let me know in the comments what I'm doing wrong here. It's just like everything else. These are independent voices, right? So actually I need to go to independent. Now, this one layer is doing its own thing, right? And that's what's kind of fun. So over here on raw square, let's go in here and let's go turn the filter on. Actually sounds amazing just like that. So let's not even mess with it. Quadzone. Go to PWM fast. We'll do the filter again, but over here we'll take the attack out. And of course we should use an Oberheim filter, right? So 2-pole. Gorgeousness. We've still got one more that we can use. So pop up sound source browser, search OBSEM here. There we go. And I need to move the fader over here. Sound source browser. And so for this one, what we'll do is we'll make this a little tighter. Filter, and we'll use again an Oberheim low pass. Unison's on, detune down. Okay, so we've got different unison settings for all of these. We'll make this last one up a 7th, right? So there's a few ways we can interact with this that's super fun, right? Go to main here, I can turn up the volume a little. So in Quadzone, we've got this fader, right? Right now it's doing hard cuts. You could crossfade these, right, if you wanted to have smoother cuts. But that's not actually what we want to do. What we want to do is leave it like this for a reason you're about to see. We can also modulate this, right? So without this, if we wanted to modulate it with an LFO, it'll jump to LFO3. We can increase the source all the way here. And you can see that it's just going to step through these as I play. It's doing very ugly cuts right now just because of the way I have it set up, but I have a very good reason for this. So instead of LFO3, we actually have something really cool that not most people don't know about, which is 4-step. So 4-step is going to step through 4 values as we play, which happens to be how many values we have here. So on the first note, even down further. So now what we've created is a 4-voice instrument, right? We've made it so that every time we play a note, we're getting a different voice that can be a completely different synthesizer, right? So yeah, this gets crazy quickly. If you've ever seen any of those videos with, you know, Dave Spears with his 8 voice and how he's able to make all of these super interesting sounds. Of course, we can also, you know, pan these a little bit more left and right. Even though the Unison is stereo, we could still pan it, right? And then as we go into the effects section, right, here's where things get super cool. So the first thing I want to do is just give it some color, right? So let's go ahead and add some analog studio and cassette. And for me, just mildly saturated is probably going to do the trick. Sounds gorgeous. Let's aux send it, and let's start with a delay. Now for me, the Swiss Army delay is going to be really good here. So. And we're going to take them. Let's see here. Mode, we're going to dual. And so we'll go back. So we have 2 different settings, like 300 and 500 are kind of like settings I use on my tape echo a lot. Into filter and go to tube filters and just take a little high cut out, right? How's it going, Todd? So, you know, let's take this further, right? So instead of an Oberheim 2 pole, why don't we take this first one, go to specialty, and we could go to state variable here. And so now what we have, things can get a little chaotic. So let's go back to Quadzone, and we can just turn 4-step all the way down here. And what that means is, oh, okay, now we have control over the fader again. So it's just listening to the first layer. Some notch action going on here, right? Oh, let's bring it. Actually have a little bit of a blend going on. So that's pretty cool. Attack there. Let's add some of that beautiful saturation. Quadzone again. Let's go back to this pulse. I like that one a little darker because it could be annoying. shortcuts just helping keep it vintage sounding. It's incredible. So back to Quadzone, bring this down and just bring 4-step all the way back up. And now, again, we're in 4-voice mode. And that's with no freaking reverb. Can I get a scum cheers in the chat? Oh my God. How freaking crazy is that, right? Now, I'm just going to go ahead and save this real quick. Can I save patch quick? Yes, I think I can. We'll go to synth poly and we'll call this Vulture 4 voice, just so I have something down. Now it's going to want me to put all this stuff in. So I'm just going to make sure that my author title is in here, which it should be. If it's not, notice Dave Spears actually has some patches in Omnisphere. It's just a thing. Vulture culture. There we go. It's the only thing I'm saving about it right now, just for the sake of the stream. So I think that's a pretty cool patch, right? And I picked doing, Oberheimy stuff, but it doesn't have to be that. So here's like another example of how we could do this. So I'm going to initialize the patch now that we have it saved. Oh, it's just so good. I don't want to even leave it. I hope you guys are finding this helpful. If you're new to Omnisphere 3, welcome. If you're new to the channel, welcome. So here's some other ways we can do the same type of thing. So let's initialize the patch. And we're going to kind of do the same thing in a sense. So let's go into A, B, C, and D. We'll go into Quadzone. It's in fader mode still. We're going to turn it on. And then we're going to go and create some motion like this. So if we go to notes, this could be our splits, right? So this is how you could do all sorts of multi-sample splits, if that's what you wanted to do. Velocity, you can also do this with velocity switching. So if there's anything you wanted to do that way, you could also do it so that you could have multi-samples, but velocity layers. So lighter samples trigger less hard hit samples, or lighter hits, are less, you know what I'm trying to say. But if I go back to fader here, I see what I did wrong. Here we go. We're going to just set this up again. And this time what we're going to do is do more of like a Prophet VS / wave station wave sequencing type sound. So the big thing here is we need to create crossfades. So we could do a crossfade like this. I think it might even be better if we stretch these out a little bit more. So crossfade kind of like this, something like that. And then crossfade this in a little bit more. And we'll crossfade you here and here, bring you over, crossfade you like this. Might be a little too far. Just trying to get these about right. You know what I mean? Like trying to get them kind of in the ballpark here. Similar amounts. There we go. So we have kind of like similar amounts here. And again, we have it on fader now. So that's just going on. Crystal Visions asks, can you slice those? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Pop up sound source browser. And what we're going to do now is go for the Prophet VS, which I know is a thing we can do. We'll just go to search and do Prophet VS. I think it's easier for the sake of this. And maybe not synth waveforms, but just everything. That is impossible. There are a lot of VS sound sources. They must just not be tagged that way. Okay, let's go back to browse. Let's go for synthesizers. And then we'll go, there's absolutely Prophet VS in here. I know there is. I've seen it so many times. Hybrid sounds. Synth waveforms. Sorry guys, I just knew they were in here, so I didn't even bother to look. Synth various. You could do this all off of Waldorf Q or Oberheim Expander. I guess there's just the one, vintage molecular strings. Synth there it is, Prophet VS. God damn, that was harder than it needed to be. So it's in Synth Classic. Let's check out some of these. Let's start with Erosion. That's pretty good. Going in here, pop-up sound source browser. Exit that. Browse Synth Classic. And then the Prophet VS was right here. Silly me, we need to move the fader. That'll work. We'll move to this one, pop-up browser. Same thing, browse, synthesizers classic, and then Prophet VS. That'll work actually, and then noise. Let's just fade this a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. And then noise, pop-up sound source browser. Same thing, browse, synthesizer classic, Prophet VS. Strings B sounds good. Okay. We are currently, if we look in main, because I'm using the Prophet 12 profile, it defaults to a shared signal path, which can work. So this will work for this sound because just like a Prophet VS, the Prophet 12 actually is kind of similar, where you have 4 oscillators and you route it through a filter. So it's going to give us that same sort of experience. Now, going into Quadzone, this time, let's modulate it with an LFO, LFO1, source all the way up. So now it's going to modulate all the way up and down. And let's set it to a triangle wave. It's more vintage that way. We're going to set it to note. So every time we hit a note, it's going to re-trigger from the beginning. We can control the phase, actually, if we want. But in this case, just the default. See, actually, we will want to control the phase, because otherwise it's going to start right there. If we want it to start with Eurovizard. So we've kind of got the same sort of idea, but now it's like the wave station. We can make this a polyphonic LFO. Meaning each voice is behaving its own way. Let's add release. Yeah, you can sort by impoverished or height. It only goes down to respectable. There's got to be a few impoverished samples in Omnosphere, no doubt. So we can go turn on the filter just directly from this page, or we can do it by just moving a knob on the hardware. So if I go in here, it's got a shared signal path. So we can, again, set this. Why don't we set it this time to a Jupiter 4-pole? I guess it should be an Oberheim 4-pole because there was a Curtis chip in the Prophet VS and there was a Curtis chip in the OB series, right? So we're going to take off just a bit of the front end here. So but the big thing we need is to use the drive knob, add saturation to that filter. that's a very good point, Aquatic, and I'm going to address it. I'm working right now on the top 10 questions asked about Omnosphere. And one that I've seen a few times is this thing about visualizations. So on a synthesizer like Serum or Pigments, if you were to modulate, say, the cutoff, there'd be like either a little dancing ring of LED light, you know, like a colorful ring showing you what the LFO or whatever is doing. Whereas if we modulate this now with an LFO, for instance, we see a little moving light here and we see what's going on, but we don't actually see it here, which I think a lot of people want to see. They want to be able to, easier to visualize, right? And I think it's deliberate that they've decided not to do this. But I've reached out to Spectrasonics about it, so we'll see what they have to say. But to me, I think what they're trying to do is keep it like a classic look, right? It sort of feels like a vintage synthesizer. There's nothing too crazy going on. You can see what's going on a little bit in the modulation section. And if you really want to see what's going on, you just jump in here and you have everything you need, right? You can see what's going on with the patch. And we have, of course, all of these modulation slots, whereas, you know, I think Falcon has like 16 or something like that. Pigments has a limited number. That's funny. This world needs a hero. Can I get a scum cheers in the chat, though, for everybody? So it's not for everybody. The look, right? Because some people like it. I do think if I was a plugin designer, I would go with what you're talking about. Whereas if we modulate this, you could see it happening, right? But anyways, we could just unmodulate this now. So we're starting to get this just... pretty big sound, right? So why don't we go ahead and modulate this with an LFO, and we'll speed this up. We'll add some delay in. And we need very little of that because it's a pretty aggressive sound, but a little bit can kind of sound like Filter FM. So we've made it polyphonic. Why don't we modulate the rate here? So let's slow this really far down for the sake of this. Make this go up to +7 when we do that. Let's extend these crossfades a little bit. I think they're a little harsh cuts. So something. So that sounds kind of cool, but let's modulate the rate now, and let's modulate it all mod sources with velocity. So we've got aftertouch, the wheel here, but we can actually use velocity. We haven't used Unison on anything, right? So what's another way we could do this? We could use modulate pan with random. And what that's going to do is give us a different pan value. And we can bring it in a little bit from all the way. And it should be per voice if I'm thinking of this correctly. Oh, I think I've modulated the wrong thing. So let's unmodulate this. Let's go to main. Do we have a pan here? Let's see. What if we go to the multi? So we do have a pan here. Can I modulate? I can't modulate this one from here. That would have been where I would think to do it. Well, that's weird. That should have worked. I don't know why it didn't with randomize. That should have done it. Let's try alternate. That does it. I don't know why. I guess with it's a little bit wider of a thing there. We could smooth it out if we wanted to, have a little bit of a movement. Let's slow that LFO down just even a little more that way. It's really cool. So if we go into modulation, we can increase the velocity amount just a bit. So we're getting there. So what are some things we had on the Prophet VS? Well, first thing, the synthesizer had a lot of distortion just kind of baked into it. So we can emulate that without, here's what's cool, because we're using a hardware profile, I don't even need to go click on something to instantiate a plugin. All I have to do is move the distortion knob on the Prophet VS and it creates it for me. And it's more, here's what's important. It's more than just turning it on and the mix control. You'll notice both the mix control, which is right here, and the drive knob are moving so that we get kind of like at about 50%, the mix is all the way up. And then past that, the drive knob is being controlled. It's kind of moving both at once, or it is moving both at once. So. I'm going to do a little low cut. I like how we were modulating the filter, but I think it's just a little bit too much. Or we could just go to whatever this is, turn the rate down quite a bit to maybe like... Yeah, it's pretty close. So, just... It's interesting. I don't know. The aftertouch hasn't really been working. Like I would expect to see. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with aftertouch recently, but anyways, pretty sure the aftertouch still works on my Prophet. So we didn't need much. We didn't need much to bring it in there. What else did we have on a Prophet 12? And by a Prophet 12, I mean a Prophet VS. we had a chorus. So my new favorite, unstable drifter, right? Pretty good. We don't need quite as much noise, but we have noise modeled off the CE1, the Juno, and the VP330, if we're interested in that. Super cool. Another thing, again, we haven't even touched Unison, right? We could kick it on. But there's other things we could do. If we go into the wave here, we could crush the timbre a bit. It gives it a lot of character, maybe too much character in this case, unfortunately, just because it's, you know. That actually helped. I like that. Okay, let's go into a section I haven't checked out yet, which is actually creative. So let's look at a couple of these. Flip backward. All of these have presets, right? So 2-bar gliss. Craziness. Right, what else do we have in creative? We have half speeder. That's super cool. I think we could use that for this patch. Warp shifter? The 10cc voice sample synth sound. Can you tell me what that is? I actually don't know. And we started this stream 48 hours ago and we'd still be here trapped in synth time. Can I get a scum cheers to everybody trapped in synth time? Cheers, guys. So what's this 10cc voice sample thing? Talk to me about that. It puts a lot of the sounds I've been sampling together in a platform. And we're still going to talk about creating multi-samples a little bit more. Ring of Fire. So I'm assuming this is a ring modulator. Okay, so, wow, let's turn ring A off, or ring B. So we got 3 ring modulators, and then the fire is probably like under fire, the sonic extension distortion. So let's turn the filter all the way up, but the drive all the way down, tune to 5. Oh, mix all the way down. That way we can just hear what's going on with this ring modulator. So, of course, we're going to do what I love to do with the ring modulator on the CS70, right? You guys already know. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to modulate this, and we're going to modulate it with an envelope, right? Now, if we pick mod envelope 3, that happens to be the mod envelope for the auxiliary. I wish that's one thing is, and I guess it's because it's not, Omnisphere is not made for hardware integration. It's the other way around. And for the average nerd who opens up Omnisphere, if you go to modulate something and it defaults to mod 3 instead of mod 1, that would be weird. But for the hardware profile, the fact that it would jump to my auxiliary envelope on the Prophet 12 would be super nice. Didn't take me long to figure it out, and I know what I'm doing. So what we can do now is use our knobs here, and we need to turn it off loop and put it to note mode. And so now it's going to behave like a regular envelope. So we could just set the attack and delay. And then we just need to turn it down because I don't need to go quite as high, right? That sounds really good to my ears, which is nice. So back to the effects now. We can just turn that down so it's not so crazy. I still think this first LFO could go even slower. But we could speed it up or give a little bit more from velocity here. So if I play a note really hard, we get like really fast. And if I play really quietly, we get... so good. I really hope that YouTube, Brett, gets their shit together with the community section, right? Because there actually is a community section built into YouTube. It just doesn't seem all the way there yet. And I think they are trying to compete with Discord and trying to make that possible so that people like us could share patches. I'll definitely post the patches from this live stream in the members only section of this channel. So that's a good incentive actually to join the channel. You get a bunch of other stuff. The best thing are the emojis, of course. So can I get some Rollins, Scum Rollins in the chat because of Eric Persing's legacy, designing some of the most famous sounds ever for Roland and then for Spectrasonics later. Cheers, guys. And if you want, consider becoming a member of the channel, $5 a month, and it helps me keep. If you appreciate what I'm doing, then here you go. Cheers. This is good. Let's bring this up an octave. We could even bring it up. Yeah, let's bring it up an octave. Let's bring it up plus 19. Way too much fun, right? We have not touched Unison and we have not added any effects. So let's go to aux send and let's go to auxiliary. Now, I would love to see if there was some sort of aux solo. I think there might be. But one thing I just want to point out that we didn't talk about. Look at how many freaking presets there are. So like ambient spaces. We got rooms, chambers, halls, right? All of these are presets that we haven't even talked about, that hasn't been mentioned. You know, colorizers. We've got BPM-based stuff. We've got stuff for guitar, because now you can use all of these effects in your DAW, right? How freaking crazy. We've got channel strips ready for, you know, if you have a female singer over the top of your track. You just load in bright and present, modern and clean, saturated and upfront, vintage lead. We have all that for male, female, extra grit, mastering, because we can use this as a mastering plugin now. I mean, just think about the power, right? And I still have my old ones that I've made myself, you know. I think Rev 2 was like the reverb settings just from the Prophet Rev 2 model, right? We're not going to do any of that because we want to explore ourselves, but I just wanted to point that out there. So let's go into reverb, and I really want to dive into Velvet Verb because I don't think we've done that really too much yet. So we'll see how far we can go. It's going to get kind of crazy because of the size, right? Hall 2, that's what Vangelis used. So let's try it again. Just we do have a modern mode if we want it to be maybe, you know, a little different here. Let's go for a big plate sound. Pretty crazy. Turn the modulation down a bit. It's a little seasick, but we could even make it kind of high and crispy, right? If we wanted. Very like new agey. I think it is my taste too, Mom. Okay, so what else do we need to kind of finish this off? So this doesn't have any ducking in it, but there are other ones that do. So I think if we go to modulation, delay, we go back to our Swiss Army delay. We do have ducking here. So I'm going to turn the aux send down real quick so we can hear that. We have different modes. We can actually use tape mode if we wanted. And we increase the ducking quite a bit and turn the feedback down. We don't need so much. Sounds nice with the deeper dampening, right? So a little of that. And then you can't see behind my camera, but I'm increasing the aux end here. Ducking means that when the signal hits the delay, so without ducking, this isn't the easiest example to display it because this is such a big evolving sound. So you're not hearing the individual echoes all that well. So I think the best example, I should just save this and then I can show you what ducking does. So I'm very, this is, that's correct, Brett. So there's a whole other, it's called Effects Omnosphere. You get it for free when you download Omnosphere, and you can use everything here, but on anything. So I can't wait to use these effects, but on the vintage synths, right? Because the effects are incredible. Walking around Epcot, David Arkenstone's On the Wings of a Butterfly, right? When you're walking around Innovations, it's not there anyways, but Jet, that's correct. It's a side chain. So I'm going to save this patch as, and we're going to call this, we'll put this in Synth Poly as well, fuck it. And we'll call this one Velvet VS. Here we go. And we'll just make sure the only thing I really care about is the authorship, because I am a narcissist. Vulture culture. There we go. And I'll drop these patches so you guys can use them too. Yes, you could use all of this. You can't use each individual one, but you can load a rack. And the racks too, by the way, have all of the presets. Because again, each of these comes with, so these are the presets for the tube overdrive. Drifter has presets. And then we have all the presets of the racks. All of this stuff was made for Omnosphere FX Rack 2. So now we have this. I'm going to initialize a patch again. Okay. And I'll give you a quick example, Mom, of what ducking is, because I'm sure some people want to know. Let's go ahead and make a quick... So we have ourselves a little pluck, right? Loud pluck. If we go to effects and we go to the delays here and we go back to Swiss Army delay. And it does have that bucket brigade delay feeling. Now, if I increase dampening all the way when I'm, okay, here's it without, okay? You can hear the echoes. That's the point. Echoes are occurring. If I increase, sorry, that was dampening. I'm looking for ducking here. So if I increase ducking all the way, when I'm playing notes, you won't hear the delay. You only hear it when I take my hands away. So that's what ducking does. Basically, it just moves the signal out of the way when you're feeding it something. And then when you're done, so you can think of it as like you do this dynamic delay type thing on vocals a lot as a mixing engineer. So when the singer is singing, you don't hear the echoes, but when they stop singing, you hear the echoes. That's what ducking is. So we'll initialize this patch again. So I got a request on one of my videos about doing ambient sounds, which I'm sure some of you guys might be interested in. Are there reverbs that duck too? That's a great question. Let's turn some Unison on here. And let's go into reverbs and check them all out. So Superverb has ducking. We've got different reverb types here. We can even do shimmers in Superverb. So let's try Sparkle Wash. I guess this is the sauce amount. Let's try Ghostly Dreams. let's increase ducking and turn decay way down because it's getting crazy. Let's try. I want to try different ones. I think transparent plate. It's kind of nice, right? With ducking. It's interesting. So yeah, it's just side chaining that input. Now, I want to say some of the seismic shock stuff actually lets you sidechain within the plugin, but I don't think that's possible yet on anything in here. So Velvet Verb, it's a vintage lexicon. It does not do any pumping natively. Solar Shimmer does not. This one's beautiful, though. This is your ambient music reverb. Inversions inversions is weird just because of the effect. Is crazy anyways. So like, let's go with Icy Pluck Sweeper. We'll hear some real interesting stuff here for sure. So it's not sidechained, but it kind of sounds like it. Can be very cool. I could also go dark, right? It doesn't have to be bright. Pretty crazy stuff that can be done. So people have not dove in to everything that's in this plugin. The spring verb, you know, it just kind of is what it is. I don't know. I think this is okay. I've heard better spring reverbs for sure. Anyways, do we have any questions in the chat? Is there anything that you guys want me to dive into before I go off even further down a rabbit hole? And can I get one more good old scum cheers? I hope you guys are enjoying this. Are you guys having a good time? If you are, drop a cheers in the chat. This is really fun for me. I hope it's half as fun for you guys as it is for me. I'm so excited about Omnisphere 3. I'm sure some of my vintage synth snobs out there, hardware snobs, are like, how many kinds of reverb does Omnisphere have? Currently, we have 5 current versions, and then Legacy, Proverb, and Easy Verb. So that's 7, but basically Easy Verb is definitely replaced by Super Verb. Like, it's just simple. That's what Easy Verb was. So Easy Verb was here, and this is here probably mostly for compatibility with older patches. And same things with Proverb. This was like their badass, like, you know, I like trying to do really great reverb sounds, and it still sounds good. You know, like it's a very diffuse. If we increase the time, right? It doesn't sound bad. It just doesn't sound as like next gen as some of the other stuff. Rob asks, how many voices can be assigned to independent channels in a DAW? So if I'm understanding your question, when you instantiate Omnisphere, it will spit out, it'll ask you if you want to create 16 tracks, basically, because we have 8 parts up top here. Whoa. Okay, we're caught up. Oh, I think it's just because it's jumping up to this page. So we actually have 8 parts here, and all of them can be they all have their own auxes too. So there's actually effects hidden away in here that a lot of people don't know about. We even have master effects, right? So this is great, especially for like live mode, which you can set up so you can like latch arpeggios and stuff like that from here. So if you want to have a bunch of patches set up for when you're playing live and you just move through them, this works really well on a touch screen or an, if you've got a tablet that's powerful enough. We also use stack mode, which is a lot like Quadzone, but it works with all of your patches, right? But it's on the patch level, not inside of a patch, right? But this is also a great way just to save on CPU. So if you put one reverb on aux 1, right, and you can send all of your synth tracks just to that one reverb instead of having it on every single layer. That's the thing. Can it do vocoder-like things? That is an interesting question. So let's go ahead and for this example, we're going to pull up a sample. And that's, but we could do is actually load in a, we could use this as the effects plugin, which I don't have set up right now for this live stream, because otherwise we could do it with my voice through the microphone. Okay. Is there any reason for me not to do that? Yes. The reason would be that let me think about this. I think I can't do it because there's no synth engine in effects Omnosphere, like the effects rack. You're just getting the effects, I think. So there are ways to create sound, but probably not. What you could do is load your vocals. Like if you have a vocal, you could just take that file and then drop it as an audio source into Omnosphere. Easy to do. I do have a video on that. Let's look for human voices. Let's go to phrases, and then we'll go to spoken phrases, and we'll just see what we get.
Normally we have a drop to drink to clear out the throat. Normally we have a drop to drink.
Let's turn the Unison off here.
Normally we have a drop to drink to clear out the throat.
Clearly a Dutch accent, if anybody's familiar with Dutch people.
Normally we have a drop to drink to clear out the throat.
Okay, so let's see. Can we do any sort of vocoding on this? This is an interesting question. Well, first off, let's add a compressor. So we'll do an 1176.
Normally we have a drop to drink to clear out the throat.
And that's just giving us a little bit of extra gain, right? Because it was kind of a quiet thing.
Normally we have a drop.
Now, as far as actually kind of vocoding, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, what the best way to do that would be. Now, there's a few ways we could get kind of close to it, right? But truly in here, well, let's look at inner space, for instance. Now, this isn't new. Ooh, what's Pump-O-Matic?
Normally we have a drop.
So here's a way we could do sidechain compressing also on, if we put it on the aux, for instance. So I'll just show you this real quick. I'll turn the aux send all the way up. We'll load Reverb again, and then we'll add in Creative Pump-O-Matic, and you'll hear the effect.
Normally we have a drop to drink to clear out the throat.
Right, so we can now pump anything.
Normally we have a drop to drink to...
And I guess we can send triggers to it. I don't know how to do that, though. I'll have to look up in the manual and see how you get... Oh, this is interesting. It's just a button.
Normally we have
So let's go to trigger and see what happens.
Normally we have a drop to drink to clear out the throat.
And then this can be MIDI CC learned. You can enable host automation, so you can use automation in your DAW to do it, or you can use a MIDI CC, even from your Eurorack module, to create this. If you have a CV to MIDI converter, right? MIDI note learn, so you could have it be like your lowest note on your keyboard could be the trigger. But so that's just an interesting thing. Going back to the task at hand, though, about vocoding. I'm sure someone's going to figure out how to do it. But we'll probably have to do it in this section. So in Wave,
normally we have a
let's see if we go to shift.
normally we have a drop the string to clear out.
Wish that wasn't quite as extreme. Microcork 2 has its own vocoder, works with Omnosphere. Couldn't you use the mic to sing the notes since they should be MIDI based? So a vocoder is like a two-part thing. You've got your audio and you've got your signal. You actually have a carrier and modulator, kind of like FM. And so you're taking the imprint of one thing over the other. So where the audio is coming from is actually not MIDI based. It's just whatever the synth engine is. So you're taking the sonic character frequency bands of one thing and stamping it onto often melodic content, but not necessarily. Could you map a square wave LFO to that trigger? Artok, that's a good question. I don't think so. Because I looked at the Pump-O-Matic, set it to trigger mode, and then it doesn't let you modulate it, see, with like an LFO.
Normally we have a
So you would have to do it. So like I could cheat. I'm in Reaper right now. So if I went to enable host automation, and then I'm actually going to just go over here to Omnisphere real quick. And then go, let me look, parameter last touched was, let's do that trigger, and then parameter modulation, and then use an LFO.
normally we have a drop the drink to clear out the throat.
And then we could use like a square wave, and then maybe just turn the speed down. Yeah. So you can see now it is.
Normally we have a
Yeah. So if I use, again, let's use a big reverb.
normally we have a drop the drink to clear out the throat.
So in Reaper you can do it because you have that capacity to modulate anything, right? Because of that. But within Omnisphere currently, no, I don't see a way. So to your question though about, let's see, I'm not defeated yet.
Normally we have a drop.
Well, we can do some cool stuff. So we could use Unison here.
Normally we have a drop the drink. Normally we have a drop the drink to clear out the throat. Normally we have a drop the drink to clear out the.
It's almost like using Granular, right? We also could create our own Unison presets, by the way. Rob asks, is 3 altogether different from 2? No, it is not. It has every single thing from Omnosphere 2. In fact, we could go all the way back to Atmosphere, which came out 23 years ago, I want to say. And in Omnosphere was an upgrade to Atmosphere because Atmosphere wasn't everything they wanted it to be. But since Omnosphere, truly Omnosphere 3 is essentially just a big update to Omnosphere 2, which in of itself was a big update to Omnosphere 1. Sorry, I was reading Artok's comment there. So their big thing is like being against abandonware. So there's so many plugins that Native Instruments has made that they don't really support anymore. Like Absinthe is the one I'm still sore about because it was a super cool plugin, and the last time they updated it was in 2005, and like, you know, VST3 wasn't a thing then, I don't believe. So Omnosphere, Spectrasonics, they basically only have like 3 products and 5 expansions or something like that, and 4 products, right? Over a 25-year history. I mean, they have the sample CDs, but those are all in here. So anyways, it's interesting how scatter works almost like granular synthesis. Let's see what we can do in Harmonia. We could, so this is, you know, how you could create stuff, but we can actually use a synth. Oh, it's not going to let me because it's a sample. Interesting.
Normally we have a drop the drink to clear out the throat. Normally we have a drop the drink to clear out the throat.
Let's go to FM synthesis.
Normally we have a drop the drink to clear out the throat. We have a drop to.
Let's try ring modulation might work.
We have a drop to drink to clear out.
So this is a type of like ring modulator-y type sound.
We have a drop to drink to clear out the throat. We have a drop to drink to clear out the throat.
Google says use the formant filter. I mean, we do have a formant filter, but I don't think it's going to be able to do any sort of... so this is just under specialty here. We have a vowel filter, but that's just going to give us, you know, typical... It's cool. So if I turn off this other stuff, maybe you can hear it a little bit better.
We have a drop. We have a drop to drink to clear out the throat.
Hear it kind of going ya, ya.
We have a drop to drink to clear out the throat.
But with harmonia and the ring modulator on, we can use the dual pitch shifter. I mean, we've just really gone deep here to create an interesting sound, but it's not quite vocoding yet. So that might be something they mess around with, because also this whole time, I mean, there's a plugin called Vocode. So this is just a stock plugin in Reaper. This isn't a stream about Reaper, but you can vocode anything with Vocode, which makes it very easy to vocode drums with a synth, or synths with vocals, or vocals with drums, or whatever you want to do. You can do it. So any more questions you guys have? Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Phase Music TV. That's really funny. DJ Kawhi Edelina Lenka, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Yes, I did. Aquatic. Beardy Man is a legend for a reason. So let's start now, and let's go into a waveform, and let's pick something let's go to digital wavetables, and we'll go to overtones. Kind of nice, modulate this with an LFO. Just like a nice old... Let's go into the dual frequency shifter. One thing that is a trick I learned from my boy Rocky Mountain Sounds is, let's start just basic here. These are in parallel. Now, this is a way no one other than him, I think, is using the dual frequency shifter. So all we have to do is bring the frequency a little bit to the left here and a little to the right, and now we're going to have a very stereo sound. If I was to move the pan like an idiot. So that's a way that we can create, like, very quickly. How quick was that? From, we just created one wave, we're not even using any unisons. So let's turn that on. I like depth and detune all the way down, just so it's wide. We don't even need it. The shifting is doing it all for us. Almost has like a vintage digital sort of character to it. Let's go to granular. So here's another thing people don't know about, is granular can be used on the DSP waves, not just samples. So let's kick this on. So we're hearing this sort of, the pitch grains here are what's giving us this sort of shimmer sound without any reverb. We could also bring the interval down if we wanted. We wanted to go, that's interesting. Oh, it's only, oh, we have to go direction down, to get the sort of thing. And we also have, up or down or up and down. And we also have wild mode, but we'll leave it in normal for now. So let's go down. Hey Ken, how's it going? So this is a really cool way. And again, we're not using samples, right? This is all just using one DSP oscillator. We're using the pitch shifting. So let me just turn off that. So this is what we're starting with. Dual frequency shifter, pan hard left and right, slight frequency adjustment just to give it that width. And then we can kick the granular on, and that's going to give us basically a shimmer effect, but going down instead of up. So no need for any reverb to make ambient music here. So let's go further. Let's turn on the ring modulation. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a really low frequency here. Let's just go to normal. You can hear that with the ring modulation all the way down, we're hearing nothing, right? So just to create movement in there. We're practically kind of where we were at with the Prophet VS type thing, but we're just using one oscillator. Like, how crazy is that? No rework need be done here. So let's increase some attack and a little more release. And then check it out. We don't even need reverb. So, I just want it to be known we're using one LFO to control the synth shape. This sounds like a modulation matrix nightmare, but really we're just using some basic stuff right here. One oscillator, no filter, just the amplifier, right? No effects, you know, like zero effects. This is just basically using this one section with one oscillator, and it's freaking gorgeous. Let's put the granular synthesis now into up or down. So it's going to go up or down as we play. Zero reverb ambient. Ken, I agree. I think that Omnosphere is, let me say it a certain kind of way. You know how things come back around in style, but there's like a valley, an uncanny valley between when things like are so old that it becomes retro and cool again. I think Omnosphere is starting to approach that, where the UI has been basically the same since 2008, I think is when it came out. You know, they've touched it up. It's different from Omnosphere 2. It has a little bit more of like a matte, flat look to it in a good way. But I think for some people, I mean, even when I look at Pigments, I'm like, Pigments looks nice. Yes, I do think it's there, but I agree with you. The ability to layer the incredible samples with synthesis options is so cool. We will do a stream where we use MPE because now Omnosphere is fully MPE. It kind of was before. Don't let them lie to you. It was actually in Omnosphere 2. You could MPE, but the way it worked was sort of like, it was like a workaround where 8 voices of MPE could be your 8 different things here. You could have different patches, but you could also use it where it's just one patch, but all of your stuff could just modulate each one. So it became like an 8 mono voices was the way they did that. But how would you design a drum score with Omnosphere 3? Yeah, I agree. Pigments is probably the best looking one of all of them right there. Omnosphere is the mid-century furniture of design. Yeah. Yeah. So how would I do a drum score? Well, I would personally cheat and just go to scoring organic category, drums and percussion, or BPM, and then go to rhythmic percussion, and then just, you know. Yeah, so that's what's possible. Oh, I totally lost that patch. I was going to drop an old school sample. So just like, because Ken was making me think of it, let's initialize the patch real quick. We'll try to do kind of a similar thing, but this time let's go to sample oscillator, and we will just go and look. We can go to search, and I think I did this in the previous stream, but it's worth doing again here. Search distorted reality, the all-time greatest of all time. There's definitely distorted reality stuff here. Let's go to all and then search again. Distorted reality should work. Here we go. And we can go find one of those famous ones in here. Majora's Mask, if you're familiar. Ocarina of Time right there. We've got the whole everything here. Iceland. Diego Stocco is God for sure. Let's do that same trick. We'll take the pan hard left and right. Just see what happens with this, with a little bit of frequency shifting on the left and right channels. Unison with scatter. crazy. We could just change it up, right? We could do something completely different. I think I've done enough. I think we've done enough to say, yeah, Omnis 3 Sphere is very, very powerful. It's actually kind of crazy what can be done with it. And like anything by Diego Stocco, we've covered before on this channel the sonic extensions, but we still have them, and we can load in Twisted Trees, which is his whole thing, and all the new features in Omnisphere 3 work on all the sonic extensions, and you can even use the custom effects, you know, in the sonic extensions. Like Diego Stocco, in the effects, he has his own pitch shifter called Twisted Root here, which is like a sub-oscillator, multiband compressor, drive, and then EQ plugin. That's just really great. So I think with that, that's a good place to call it for tonight. There will be more preset playthroughs going on the channel. I think there's going to be a new one every day. Fingers crossed I'm able to handle the editing workload. But thank you guys for hanging around. I hope you guys, you know, I hope this was fun for you guys, because I think for me as a nerd, it's a lot of fun to get really deep in here. And there were a few things. I definitely wanted to do this stream about the stuff that I don't think people are talking about yet with Omnisphere 3. So hopefully you guys learned a thing or two. It was fun for me. And I believe the Analog Vibes video is going to be up tomorrow. So Analog Vibes is all of the new patch library, over 2,000 sounds that are all like vintage analog synth sounding, which of course is near and dear to my heart. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And so with that, I've got just a little bit left here. So can I get one more scum cheers in the chat? I appreciate you guys so very much. Cheers, guys. And with that, continue to be excellent, guys. Stay safe, and I will see you next week.